Video, I'm going to talk about the different settings you can use for Datastudio with the first collision experiment. So right now we have the cart on the ramp, and I have a force and a motion sensor that are plugged into the GLX. For this lab, we want to look at force and velocity. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to change it from position to velocity. So I'm going to make this thing bigger here. If I click the setup button gives me options to look at the motion sensor, which is the guy running. That's the motion sensor. And I don't want position, but I do want velocity. So I'll check mark the velocity there. And this little balance is the force sensor. So you can see the two different sensors there. So that's the first thing I did. So when I do that, then I can change its position graph to velocity. Okay. And so now we have the force and velocity graphs right there on the screen, and we'll do a trial to see what we get. Okay. 3, 2, 1, start, go. We have reset the thing there. Technical difficulty. Okay, that's fine. If you have a bad trial, then you simply click on the run and delete it. Click on this, run, delete it. All right. So you can delete a trial. All right, that'll happen. So we'll start again. All cores clear. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so what you saw right here is a collision. So that you can see the linear graph for the velocity, and it's slowed down, but nothing for the force. You don't see anything on the force graph. So that's a problem, okay? Because what's happening is the force sensor, if I go back to setup, is collecting data at 10 hertz, 10 samples per second, or every tenth of a second. And so what happened was the collision occurred between two data samples. So we can increase the sampling rate. I'm going to go higher. So it's collecting more data points, so I get a finer resolution. I'll go to 250 here. And since I'm changing the force, I might as well change the velocity to make it, I'll go to 50, let's say. We'll go to 40, okay? So I can change the sampling rate. So I'll close that up, all right? You delete my previous run, delete the previous run, and we'll try it again. And we'll start it, 3, 2, 1, go. So now you can see I have many more data points. Now this is kind of squished. I can't really see a whole bunch here. So what I have to do is I have to scale the graph. So if I put my cursor at the bottom, there's two things you'll see. If I put it right on the axis, I'll see a hand, which allows me to move the graph left and right, the entire graph. Or I can put it on the numbers, and you'll see a little squiggly line. That lets me scale the graph. So that's what I want to do. I want to scale it. But the problem is when I scale it, it moves things to the right. So I got to scale and then move. Scale and then move. And then scale and then move. And you can see the precision or the decimal points increasing here. Scale and then move. And you can do that as much as you like. And you can see the graphs are moving in tandem, which is what we want. We can not, this is the button here that locks them. If you unlock it, you can move one and not the other, but for this lab, we want to see what happens at the same point in time, so we want to keep them together. Looking at the force graph, you can see the little pulse, and I can move this down as well. Put it on the axis and move it down. So you see my little pulse, which is good. One thing we're interested in with the pulse is the area under the graph. That's a major thing we're looking at. And if I click on the summation button here, I can actually click on, if I click on the summation button here, I get some statistics. And if I highlight this area here and click on area button, it highlights the area of the curve and it tells me the area 0.6. And if I highlight a different area here, it'll tell me that area 0.1. And if I highlight this area here, it shows me 0.1. So you can find the area under the curve, which is the change in momentum. So, so the key points are, if you have a graph and you don't like it, you can always click on it up here and then press the delete button. Once you get data, you may not get good samples, so go to setup, you can change the sampling rate. And number 3, once you get data, you can drag on the axis to move it and drag below it to scale it. And so you can get a better view of the data. So those are the basic things you need to do for the first collision lab.